Hello, everybody, and welcome. Viathan is here. How are you all doing tonight? Morning or evening, wherever you are, wherever you decide to watch this. Thank you so much for joining us. I do a little bit of a ghost story here. It's my own true experience of a ghost story that happened a long time ago. I think it started when I was about 4 years old, all right? It goes like this, and I wrote it down a little bit into a little bit of a short story. So I figure I'll read it that way, although to be honest, I don't really do a very good description in a short story. It's just something quick to write up and to get out and share with the entire world, so, as well as family and friends. Um, I suddenly awoke to a loud crash. To my horror, there was a stranger standing in my window. I screamed so loud that my sister, who was sleeping silently just across the room from me, jumped right out of her bed, and she looked around. And what was it? She looked. I don't know if she saw what I saw in the window or not. What's wrong? What's wrong, Craig? Are you okay? Are you all right? She came. Why are you screaming? What is it? She came walking over towards me. She asked in a tone of genuine concern. I could see the sadness and the shock and the horror in her eyes, in the face. There's a man in our window. I pointed back at towards the window that was just behind her. She turned and looked around. There, I saw a man. Now, I didn't know it back then, but now I know he was wearing a trench coat and a fedora hat that kind of looked like one that Dick Tracy would have worn. If you remember the Dick Tracy comic books or newspapers or the old Dick Tracy movies and TV shows. Um, he was tall and slender, not like the Slender Man, no. Just thinner than, well, maybe about like my build at the moment, maybe a little thinner than me. Uh, anyway, he looked like something out of a Dick Tracy movie. I had never seen Dick Tracy in my life at that time. It wasn't until only a few years ago that I've actually seen some of the old Dick Tracy TV shows and movies. So, and cartoons and comic books. So, yeah, I didn't tell her it was Dick Tracy. I just told her there's a man in the window because that's all I knew at the time. Um, so anyway, someone's out there, Missy. There's no one out there, she said. It's just your imagination. Now go back to sleep. Everything's all right. I wonder if that's what blocks us, most adults, from being able to see ghosts and spirits. You can see them when you're younger. When you get older, after being told it's just your imagination, I wonder if you put a block in your brain so you don't really see it unless you're really looking for it and you're really opening your mind to it. Don't know. Anyway, let me get back to the story because I started getting on a tangent there. Sorry about that. So, someone's out there, Missy. I said, there's no one out there. It's just your imagination, she said. Now go back to sleep. Everything's all right. Yet I couldn't go back to sleep. How could you? I was too afraid. The stranger would come back. Maybe he'd come into the window. Seeing how scared I was, my sister climbed into bed with me. Feel safer now? She asked. Before I could reply, I was starting to fall asleep. She took all of my stuffed animals and placed them all around me. She said, here, these will protect you. And if someone does come in, they won't be able to see you. And these animals will protect you. They'll be your guardians. Now sleep and make sure you don't wet the bed, she yelled. And I don't remember much else after that because I was out like a light. I awoke the next morning, still half asleep, waving my eyes. I walked half asleep, called out to my mom, 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 Mommy, as I walked out of my room. I'm in the bathroom, she yelled back. I had one of my Matchbox cars. I remember that. And I was walking. I was maybe 5 or 6 at the time, maybe 4 or 5 more like. So I walked to the bathroom and I saw her blow drying her hair. I said good morning and proceeded to walk into my dad's bedroom, my parents' bedroom, basically. The room itself is small room, enough for a dark oak wooden dresser and a queen size bed that barely fit. To my left, there was a small closet, and to the right was a window. I sat down at the edge of the bed. My dog Dusty came running over to me. His coat was dusty brown, hence the name. Henceforth, that's how he got his name. Yeah, that's what I meant to write. Dusty is half Collie and half German Shepherd, or he was. He lived to be 20 years old, by the way. But at the time, he was only a few years older than me, so he must have been like 6 or 7, maybe 8 in human years. Anyway, I sat there for a few minutes. I was petting his hair. This is, scratching his ears and petting the top of his head. As I was petting Dusty, the closet door started to shake. Dusty barked at the door. Well, didn't really bark. He more like as he looked towards the door. I walked over to where the door was, and as I got closer, the door started shaking more violently. Making a boom and shaking so loud, right? That I screamed out, Mommy, the closet door is shaking, the closet door is shaking. She said, it's probably our landlord. Open it up for it's probably our landlord, and he's probably doing something downstairs. Or open it up for him or something like that, she said. I think it was more like, at the time the statement sounded a bit odd, yeah. But I did, she said, I tried to open the door. But as I got closer to the door, my dog was using his buttocks, his tail, pushed me out of the way with his back, and he just kept standing. He starts clawing at the door and barking at it, clawing at it, and getting up on his hind legs and making sure that, or every once in a while looking back to see where I was, so this way he could make sure he was between me and the door, and barking like crazy, right? So as the handle started to shake, the doorknob was shaking so violently. But when I touched it, the moment I was able to touch it, I noticed it was locked. Couldn't move it. And Dusty quickly didn't bite my hand, but he grabbed it with his teeth and pulled it away. Didn't bite down hard, just enough to push me away from the door. And again went jumping back at the door and made sure he stayed between me and the door and kept barking. My mom soon into the room. As she did, the door stopped shaking stopped shaking immediately. Said, what's going on in here? Dusty, calm down, cut down, stop barking. And I said, Mom, the door was shaking. Oh, she opened the door, and inside the door, the only thing in the closet at the time was a box that he had gotten from my grandmother. That one of my grandmothers had lent us, I guess, to watch for or to keep for her. It was navy blue. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this. It's a cardboard box, all navy blue all around it, like a dark blue, and blue top with white dots on top of it, almost looking like stars. And it was one of those boxes with the top you could just lift off. Yeah, nothing was in the box at all, except for a wooden piece of wood that was maybe about that big, and maybe about a little smaller than this phone, right? This Galaxy 7 phone. And on it had had 3 shoes. A bowler shoe that you would see on elves in the pictures of the classic looking elf cartoons. It had one of those boots that a Christmas elf would wear, with the pointy front, and also just a black shoe that looked like something that Santa Claus or Frosty Snowman would be seen wearing. If you know the traditional Santa Claus with the red and black shoe, the red suit and the black shoes. So anyway, those dots on the box sort of look like stars. That was the only thing that happened at that house. But a few months later, we moved to another location. We moved from, that was at Dale Street down in Stamford, Connecticut. We moved to a place called Finney Lane in Stamford, Connecticut at the time. And before we do that, before we moved out, sorry, I got ahead of myself. Should have been looking at my notes. Later that afternoon, right after the door shaking, my mom was hanging out clothes, and I was playing with my toy trucks in our backyard. The cops walked over into our yard, along with our next door neighbor. They walked up to my mom and started talking to her. I couldn't hear what they were saying, so I ran over towards my mom. We'll say Miss Calloway was robbed last night while she was at work. It's a fictitious name. I don't know their real name. I don't remember that much. I remember them saying something about like being robbed or something last night. Asked the office. Last night while she was at work, did you see or hear anything last night? Asked the officer. No, we all went to sleep relatively early last night. The kids were in bed by 8 p.m. and I was in bed not too long after. Did you hear anything loud noises or anything? I asked the officer. No, but if we did, we would have called the police. My mom continued to speak, but I don't really remember much of the conversation. I tried to tell a police officer about the stranger in the coat with the funny flap on the around the neck, like the trench coats have, and the hat. Coming by my window, and my mom pointed that the window was on the second floor. So he just kind of, brushed it off. Like, yeah, I tried to explain the fedora hat, the cowboy hat is what I said at the time. The officer made like he was jotting down everything I said, but I highly doubt it. I mean, come on. My mom was pointing up to the window where I sleep, and it's the second floor window. How was she going to see how would I be able to see a shadow that high up, right? Anyway, I saw that our neighbor was a bit puzzled and more about concerned. She kind of believed me. Like she had seen something, like I could see it in her eyes, although I didn't know at the time, I just had a feeling. And a couple of days later, we were moving out to a new house. That's the one down on Finney Lane from Dale Street. Well, the house itself wasn't new. Hell, it was built in the early 1900s, just before the World Wars, or before World War I believe, or at least before World War II. A couple of days later, after we moved in to the new house, well, as I said, the house isn't so new. Anyway, it was new for us. I awoke one morning, cleared the sleepiness from my eyes as I usually do more. I got out of bed and I started to walk to the living room. Craig, don't be afraid, said this voice in a spooky tone. I turned. I literally turned. I was standing straight. I turned to the left there, facing the closet. And I saw this creature standing on two legs, two arms, like, just like a human person would have, red glowing eyes. I swear, if you've seen the movie Communion, they kind of do it right where they have Willie Stryper's Communion. In the movie Communion, they have a creature that's all blue that looks like a kind of rock creature, but they made him funny looking instead of spooky. If they would have made this thing dark as pitch, and they would have made it like rocks. I mean, that's the only way I could describe its body. It looked like it had rocks all over, like it was made out of boulders. Thing looked hideous, man. Don't be afraid. I was trying to say, Mom. I could not speak. I was like Abbott from Abbott and Costello, where I just... Nothing's coming out. My mouth is saying, Mom, but there ain't nothing coming out. Finally, Ma! And the creature goes, no, don't be scared, Greg. I'm not going to hurt you. Not going to hurt you. Come here. Don't call for your mom. Don't call for your mom. I'm not going to hurt you. my little legs started moving. I wasn't going anywhere, but my legs were chucking. I felt like I don't know, one of those cartoons where the feet move and you're not going anywhere. And finally, boom! I shot out of the room, slid across the kitchen, made a right, ran right into the living room on the right side of the kitchen, and I go into the room, and my mom is sitting there, not blinking and not moving at all. My dog is sleeping on the couch. He was never allowed on the couch. He only slept on the floor. So two odd things there, right? I go walking over to my mom, and I wave my hand in front of her eyes. She's not blinking. There's nothing going on at this point. And mind you, I'm about 5 or 6 at this time. My dog Dusty, still on the couch. Over to him, Dusty. I finally, as soon as I lay my hand on Dusty. As soon as I lay my hand on Dusty's head to go to pet him, he jumps off the bed and starts barking, and he is like right on the floor. My mom finally yelled at him to get off the couch, and by that point, my dog was already on the floor, on all fours, and my mom was looking at me like, "How'd you get in here? Where'd you come from? Good morning. I didn't see you come in." And I'm like, mommy. Help, mommy. I scream. And she goes, "Are you okay? What is it? What's wrong?" I said, "Someone's in my closet. Someone's in my room. Someone's in my room. Someone's in my room, mommy. Someone's in my room." I said as I ran towards her, and to my surprise, she didn't say anything. She just looked at me calmly. And then my dog Dusty started running into my room, screaming. And she goes, "Maybe it's just your imagination, but let's go take a look." She goes in. My dog Dusty was already inside the closet, barking away like crazy. My mom yelled at the dog. My dog Dusty, she didn't yell, but she told him to get out of the room, get out of the way. And she goes, "See, there's nothing in here. It's just your imagination." We can open the closet. Again, that same box. I mean, other than our clothes, in this case, there was clothes in this particular closet. The box itself, again, all navy blue, really dark blue on top, sky with white stars, or look like white dots that could have been, or look like they may have been stars all across it. And again, you open it up, that same little thing with the same shoes on it. So after that, I gotta tell you, that closet door always stayed closed. This room was so weird though. The closet door was pitch black. All right. Now we could paint any room in this house any color we wanted. We rented the house. We could paint them any colors we wanted, put in any floors we needed to, except for this room. This room had these plastic black vinyl, hard plastic black vinyl on all the walls. The ceiling was just white, normal white. The floor was a navy blue rug, and we were told it had to stay. Freaking weirdest, ugliest looking. I love the color blue, but this is the ugliest blue I had ever seen for a rug, let me tell you. This room was so pitch dark and so spooky. I don't know how I didn't have more nightmares than I did growing up in this room. Later that night, though, as I was sleeping, I started to hear the closet door shaking, and it's kind of like that, like, and it's shaking. I hear crack. It's the middle of the night, and I'm starting to freak out. I feel something grab my feet, like literally grab my foot and try to pull. My sister was in the next room. All right. She didn't hear a thing. She slept right through everything. She was a good sound sleeper. My mom and dad came in after they heard me screaming. It didn't take much for them to wake up and for them to come running in from their room. So they come running in. They're like, "It's all right. It's just a nightmare. You're all right." And I'm like, "No, someone's grabbing my feet. So my dad my mom's calming me down. She's like, it's just your imagination. No one in here. They're looking around and making sure the doors are still locked, windows, are all closed and stuff. We lived on the second floor, so again, not really any chance for people to get in really through windows or anything like that. So my dad checks down there where my feet are, and guess what was on top of my feet? The little block rather of wood that was about this thick, this wide, right? With the shoes on it. Where'd this come from? Where'd you find this? And my mom goes, that's usually in the box that your mom gave us. My dad goes, oh. I don't remember anything else that was said that night, but the next day, that box was gone from our house. I asked my mom where it was, a long time ago, maybe only a year or two, 2 years, 3 years later. And she said she gave it back to my dad's mom. And she's like, I don't care what happened to it after that. Like, it could have burnt in toaster oven or something. I don't care. Anyway, ever since that box is gone, no sightings happen there. No feeling of terror at all. Everything remained calm there. So, no spirits, nobody trying to reach out to me, no one trying to grab hold of me, no nightmares after that night. That was one of my ghost tales. That was me growing up as a kid. I could share a couple of other ones where I've gone out with friends, like to Dudleytown, Connecticut, which is one of the scariest cities in all of Connecticut. I can share with you my experience at one of our cemeteries, two of our cemeteries, Four Corners Cemetery in Easton, and another cemetery down there where I live here. Maybe one of these days I might be brave enough to go again with some friends and maybe do some ghost hunting. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be posting a poem maybe tomorrow night. It is, what is today anyway? Today is the 30th of May, so maybe the 31st I'll post a poem. If not, then definitely next week, and I'll do some more short stories. Ones where I'm actually telling you the whole story, like verbatim. This one I was kind of doing a combination of notes as well as my own personal memories. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please give a like, please do a subscribe, and I'll share some more poems. Take care and have a good night, good health, and good fortune to all of you. Remember, we are all humans. We are all one race, the human race. Let's learn to treat each other with respect, all of us. We have to respect each other and respect our lives. Love you all. Good health and good fortunes, and my prayers to all of you. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening.